Hello, welcome back to Ruud Talk, episode 4 this year, second season running. Babsi, it's just you and me today, isn't it?
It's just you and me. I hope that's okay for you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Perfect.
We always have good topics to talk about.
Casper, where are you at the moment? Because I mean, you're a world traveler. So where are you?
Yes, we are traveling almost new place every week. So this week we're in Geneva. I just came in yesterday from Rome. So it's a beautiful place. I really like the city. It's one of the most beautiful, if you ask me, in whole Europe. You have a beautiful lake, nice buildings. It's like classy old style in the buildings, and you have mountains, and it's beautiful. Great people, great food, and good weather typically. So it's a nice place.
And why have you decided to play the week before the French Open there in Geneva? Was that always planned, or was it because the way you played on clay, or this year?
No, it was planned already from before. A little bit because it worked out well last year. I played here last year. I won the tournament, which gave me confidence and fresh confidence coming into Roland-Garros. It's different having confidence in the fact that obviously this year I will have some confidence coming into Roland-Garros no matter what, because of what happened last year, and that sort of gives me confidence and believe that I did really well here last year. So there's no reason why I can't do it again. That's sort of the mentality, I guess. But at the same time, you want to have won a couple of matches recently, and I think it's great. It's very nice and calm on these like 250 tournaments, and when you come to a Grand Slam, it's so many people there in the beginning, and you kind of have to fight to get the practice hours that you want and the practice courts that you want, because it's 200-300 players that are wanting to practice. And so why not just take the matches here as practice, and you have calm surroundings, and you can get to Paris towards the weekend, and then hopefully take it from there.
Yeah, and it's always nice to go back to a tournament where you've been successful. I guess they roll out the red carpet for you, and they try to keep you happy as a player. And I'm sure you are full of confidence, but also because of your result. Maybe in Rome, you played semifinals. Things were going quite well there. You've picked up your level of tennis. Seems like at the right time now, just before the French, right?
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I mean, it happened. Last year was sort of similar. I didn't do really well in the clay in the beginning. I did a little better this year. Obviously, I won in Estoril when we talked. You weren't there. I think it was with Alex on our last episode. Was in Estoril, and I won there. And then Monte Carlo was a little tough. I lost to Struff, who is a great player in my eyes, and he showed that in Madrid a couple of weeks later. So. Wasn't the biggest of toughest of losses I've had this year, but Madrid I lost early, lost the first match, and then I had 2 weeks off because of the new system and the new sort of 2-week tournaments before I played my next match in Rome. So during those 2 weeks, I went home for a couple of days. It was quite cold in Norway, so wasn't too much to stay home for, other than you just being sort of recharged a little bit, sleep in your own bed. And I did some analysis with my team, sort of to think about, I haven't felt like this year I've been playing really bad. I just feel like there are things that can be better, sort of. So we sat down and sort of thought, we're playing heavy. I mean, we know that I can play well on clay, but what needs to be better? What sort of needs to change a little bit? And then I think that worked well for Rome. We got there earlier practice and sort of had a nice tournament there. So last year I made semis there, made semis this year, and then last year I won obviously here in Geneva, and then finals in Roland-Garros. So it was like one of the most incredible months of my life on the tennis court, and I'm hoping that I can sort of awaken those memories again by coming here. And
it seems like you're on the right path at the moment. When you were sitting down with your team, and you mentioned it at some stage, during the clay court season of this year that you feel like you haven't been aggressive enough in your game, you haven't been daring enough, you were slightly passive maybe and predictable, but it seems like on that front, you're a lot more aggressive. Once again, you're stepping into the court. I even saw you playing serve and volley a couple of times. Is that something you've been trying to do?
Yeah, I think that's something that you see with the, to me, the younger guys that are younger than myself. You have Carlos and you have Yannick and you have Holger, who are playing really, really aggressive and sort of unpredictable because they have all the shots in the book. They can come to the net, they can hit beautiful drop shots, and I think I've been trying to sort of take some inspiration from them, honestly, to see like, these guys are good and they're good so young, so what are they doing well? And I think that they always kind of keep you at your feet because you never really know what their next shot is going to be, and that's tough to play against because obviously you have a player, for example, like Daniil or maybe Rafa, who is the sort of player that just like plays the same and the same and the same until you almost die out there on the court, because it makes it very physical. But sometimes it's also good to make changes and change up a little bit. But, it's sort of either or. Either you have to be so stable and so steady that you sort of just wear out the opponent after point. And I felt that as well. But I felt also recently that many players have the varieties that I was sort of missing for a little bit. And I hope that my Rome tournament can help, putting some confidence into me that I can sometimes hit a drop shot myself or come to the net here and there. So I think that's something that worked quite well in Rome, and hoping to sort of try to explore that a little bit more here in Geneva and then see for Paris.
Let's go back to Rome in the semifinals when you played against Holger Rune. I mean, do you have a few regrets there, because you were so close? You were up a set and the break, weren't you?
Yeah, it's those matches that sort of I feel the worst to lose, I guess, because you're close, you sort of see the finish line, and I broke him in the second set, and he asked for a medical timeout, which is completely fine. I was asked after the match what I thought about it, and I said that if he's injured, it's completely legal, and that was not the reason why I lost the match at all, because I held my serve after. But when you see someone taking a medical timeout, it's easy to think like, okay, I'm up a set and a break, he's maybe feeling some pain, the finish line is close. So I think that's sort of where I misjudged a little bit, because he came out and still playing well, firing on all sort of cylinders. And I think he also said it on court after that, looks like this will be my last set here in Rome, so I'm just going to go for it and sort of play loose and try to come back somehow. And that's what he did. He played some beautiful return winners and kind of just let loose and played well. And
yeah, I mean, you were certainly on the right track, and against Holger in the semifinals, so you can take a lot of positives out. But I mean, I've played myself. I know how it is when somebody takes a medical timeout, and I know it doesn't matter, if that person is injured or not, but it does something to you. There's this 3 minutes where you do start thinking a little bit, and a lot of people and viewers and spectators might not understand that, but that the momentum can change so much. But can you explain it maybe, how difficult it is to deal with that it does break your rhythm slightly a little bit? Sometimes it doesn't, but sometimes it does. It's very hard to stay focused, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's to me, like in that match, it was I didn't feel bothered about it, but and a minute before he was done, I went up from the chair and sort of moved around and wanted to get some blood flowing again, because if you sit for too long, it's like you can be a little stiff and sort of cool down, which is not good when you're gonna have to go out there and serve in the next game. And I did well. I mean, I won the next game, but then you're sort of thinking, like, how painful is it for him? I mean, is he going to be able to play full? Is he just you sort of go for it because it feels like, if I play more long points, it's going to get worse for me. Like you don't really know where you have your opponent when he takes a medical timeout, which is tough because everyone feels the same way. And some injuries are easier to play with than others. If you roll your ankle, it's impossible to run. So, I mean, then you're done. But maybe if you feel a little stiff in the back, the physio can come and crack it, or if it's an arm, you can massage it and it can feel, something, maybe a nerve can release or something. So it's a lot of things that can change during a medical time.
Certainly, sometimes it goes this way and sometimes it goes the other way. Before the match, you said you did not send each other Christmas cards this last Christmas. You think you're going to send each other one this Christmas or not really?
Well, I don't do with any of the players. So,
Oh, come on, really?
Yeah, don't get me wrong here. It was nothing really. I didn't really mean anything bad with it. But, to me, it's like, obviously, there will always be some players that you get along a little bit better with than others. But that also depends, who you practice with when you're younger and all these things. Maybe you know someone from the juniors and so on. So there are obviously a couple for me as well that I know better and sort of feel that I'm more sort of friends with. But at the same time, I don't really like having sort of too good that opponents are too good friends of mine, because I always found it quite difficult to play a big match all since I was young against my best friend, because back home in Norway when I grew up and played tennis, I had all my best friends were on the tennis court, and if I played just final of a or a semi-final or whatever, a big match in the national tournament under 14 or whatever, I always felt like, I don't like it because I'm playing my best friend and I don't want to beat him, because I would feel bad for him in a way. So even from when I was that young, I felt like, I'm going to try to keep my sort of colleagues as, respectful towards them as I can. And I respect all my opponents, and it's nice to have someone in the locker room, of course, to talk a little bit more to, but I don't want to really have too many good friends, because if I play them in a Grand Slam semifinal or even a final or a big match, I'm going to feel like it's difficult to sort of try to beat him as bad as you can, because, it's a friend.
All right. Yeah. Let's start talking about Roland-Garros, and we can only start with the announcement of Rafa Nadal. He said he was not going to be able to play the French Open this year. Do you remember where you were and what you were doing when Rafa announced it? Or did you maybe even tune in to the press conference?
Yeah, I was in Rome, and I think I was receiving some treatment on the physio bench, and I just heard that he was going to have a press conference, at his academy. And typically you don't hold a press conference to sort of bring exciting news. It's typically, unless, you have a new partnership with a brand or whatever. But typically in this case, it's to say something is not right. So I guess I kind of knew that he wouldn't play Paris sort of already before he sort of announced it. You never know. I mean, he could have been, saying, hey guys, I know there's been a lot of speculation, but I feel great. I'm going to go to Paris in a couple of days and see how it goes. But it was more obvious that it was going to be difficult for him. And that's sad, obviously. He has one of the biggest records in sports history, if you ask me, there at Roland-Garros. But the tournament goes on. I think he said it himself. It's no player is bigger than the tournament. So it's going to be a little more open. And it's the first time that he doesn't play, I guess, since 2004 or something. So it brings maybe some extra motivation to other players who sort of feel like it's a little bit more open, I guess. But in the end, it's a decision that is best for Rafa, and the team has, I'm sure, tried all what they can to be ready for Roland-Garros, but couldn't do it this year. So, but I think we will see Rafa again at Roland-Garros. I know him good enough to know that he never sort of gives up, and as he said himself, I think he wants, and I think he hopes for a better sort of finish to his career. I mean, there's inevitable that the end is near, but I believe that we will see Rafa at least one more time in Roland-Garros, feeling ready and fit to have the goal to win the tournament. So, I mean, he never gives up. So I just think he needs a little time off now. And I know that he's been trying to push sort of the clock and the time to be ready for Roland-Garros. And this year he couldn't do it, but now he has a full year.
Have you been in touch with him? Did you send him a message, or did you give him a call at all?
I haven't called him, but we texted a little bit here a couple of weeks ago, and just told him that he's missed around on the tour. It's always exciting when Rafa plays and steps on the court, and it's been like this with him and Roger and Novak for the last 20 years. So anytime they're absent, it's it's different sort of, and it's always like extra excited and excitement to the tournament whenever they play. So it's just told him that, and I hope that he will be ready soon and all these things. So he didn't really give me a clear answer to when he would come back, but he just said thanks, and he's trying his best, and I hope to see me again soon and all these things. So I guess it meant that he was trying, but didn't really know when he was coming back. So I guess I won't see him for a couple of months now either. So I think we all just wish him a speedy recovery as possible, and that would be great to see him obviously in Davis Cup, like he said himself, at the end of the year, and getting some matches there and getting it ready for next year. I think that's the ultimate goal for him.
Yeah, he certainly will be missed at the French Open, and I am very relieved that he actually said he was gonna play, Davis Cup. He was gonna play in 2024. So fingers crossed. I mean, you never know what's gonna happen. It's gonna still be around. Now, for you personally, playing at the French Open, how important is it for you to be in the top 4 seeds? I mean, you reached the finals there last year. You love the tournament. You played against Rafa in his garden, basically. How important was it to you that you're in the top 4 seats there this year?
Yeah, I think obviously there are a lot of good players these days. So even in the first round, you can play a great, tough player who's unseeded. So I think my goal for sort of this year and the coming years will always sort of, I think, try to be top 8, because I think that makes the biggest difference. Number 8 and 9 can be quite the difference. So that's sort of the main one. But obviously, top 4 means that you won't play any of the other top 4 until potential semifinal, which can help if you get there, obviously. But if it was number 4 or 5, it's not the biggest sort of. It's worse, the 8 and 9 difference. I think is worse than 4 or 5. But it's nice, obviously, to have a good seeding is sort of trying to favorize that you get through your first matches and so on. But like I said, anyone can play well at this level, and I've lost many matches recently to players who are lower ranked. So I have huge respect for everyone, and just trying to find my groove, and gonna think that on clay, best of 5 sets, I'm gonna just try to be a tough player to beat and see how it goes. I mean, I have good memories from last year, obviously, and hopefully I feel physically good these days. So I hope I can, find my really good tennis and physical form and be ready for potentially long matches and best of 5 sets matches on clay.
I'm sure it's going to be amazing when you step out there on Philippe Chatrier once again, or just on site where you had so much success. Are you looking forward to that when you get there?
Yeah, I mean, there are the typical things that sort of reminds you and gives you good memories from Roland-Garros. Obviously, the clay is very special there. It's probably the best clay court in the world. No offense to all the other tournaments, but they do spend a fortune, keeping the courts in good condition the year around. And it's nice. You come there and it's like, the conditions are perfect. And you have all this sort of like sounds, and every time there is an announcement inside, there's like this melody that comes on, and that's sort of, okay, we're in Roland-Garros now, because that's that melody is the Roland-Garros sort of melody, or the sound, or whatever they call it. So, and they have, their typical things in the restaurant that you would eat, and it's always nice coming back. And I think for me this year is going to be extra special, obviously, as I reached far there last year, and I have some good memories. And last year was very special, even from the first round when I played Tsonga on Philippe Chatrier, and then ended 2 weeks later to play there again against Rafa. So it was a lot of things that happened those 2 weeks, and I hope that I can stay for 2 weeks again this year. It means that you're doing well if you can stay long.
Fingers crossed. Well, it's not long to go. It seems like you can't wait to get there. First, you have to win Geneva, and then you go from there. So let's talk about Novak Djokovic. He's probably not playing his best tennis now. He hasn't played much. I think he's only played about 6 tournaments this year. What do you think about his run at Roland-Garros potentially? I mean, how do you rate his form? Obviously, he's won a lot of Grand Slam titles before, so you know what he's at the Grand Slams.
Well, you have him, and you have like all the other ones where some players in the field have won maybe 1 or 2 slams, or I guess Stan has won 3. So he's the obvious favorite because of what he has won before. And he's said that he wants to just, find his peak at Roland-Garros, and I don't think it really bothers him that he hasn't maybe done as well as maybe before on clay. He has enough confidence to believe in himself, and I think if, as long as he's physically ready, is going to be the toughest player to beat, I think. But there are others as well, competitors and for him as well that has beaten him before that can maybe set him off. You have Holger, for example, has won against him twice. If they were to face each other, it would be an interesting matchup for Novak to see how he reacts. And then obviously you have Carlos, who has had an incredible couple of weeks and months on the clay, won Barcelona and Madrid back to back. And then you have Daniil, out of nowhere, kind of winning Rome, which is so fun. I just love it when Daniil wins matches and tournament. I think he's such a genuine guy, and for tennis he's great. And he does it with a bit of humor as well whenever he wins something big. And it was funny that he won Rome. I think if a lot of people who watches a lot of tennis would think that he was maybe the least favorite to win Rome because he hadn't won a match there before. So then he just goes out and wins and proves everyone wrong. And I think that's so fun. And he's obviously, I always thought he was a very tough player to play on clay because I practiced with him a couple times, and he plays those deep flat shots that you really can't attack too easily. And if he moves well, it's tough. I think that's maybe been the biggest struggle for him on clay, that his movement has been sort of hindering him a little bit to play well. But I think he's sorted out that quite well now, and seems like he's enjoying it more. And I think he can be a threat for Roland-Garros. I mean, physically, and he's won the Grand Slam before, so he knows what it's about.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, because in the past at Roland-Garros, nobody even mentioned Daniil, because everybody knew he doesn't like to play on clay, he doesn't like to move. But this certainly has changed this year now after this big victory of him.
Yeah, and you see how much confidence can help in this sport. I mean, earlier this year after Australian Open, he dropped out of the top 10 for a couple of weeks and sort of probably said to himself, it's time to step up. And he won Rotterdam, and then he went straight to win Doha, and then straight to Dubai. So he won those 3 back-to-back, and that sort of incredible. Got everything going. Finally, in the Wells, won Miami. And, when you get on this run and this streak, it's just amazing what how you can feel and how well you can do. It's sort of you riding a wave, and you sort of hope that the wave won't end for a long time. And I think that's been part of his recent success, that, his confidence is good. And for players to play him, that this guy won 5 tournaments already, so how am I going to beat this guy? Sort of, that's, I guess, the mentality for many players now. And that can be very dangerous. And for a player of his caliber, when he gets into this zone and this confidence, he's a really tough player to beat.
You mentioned briefly his celebration. Did you like that one, that little dance? I've never seen the Daniil dance. That's a completely new one. Did you enjoy that one?
Yeah, it was funny. I mean, I didn't see it, right there and then, but I saw it, I think, the day after. And yeah, he has some really funny celebrations, and he comes up with new ones here and there. So it's fun. He's a really nice guy, and I texted him. I text him quite frequently when he wins, and congratulates him on his victories, because I think he's a really nice guy. I got to know him quite well during Labour Cup a couple of years ago, and I think that he's a really genuine guy, and he's very, very smart on the court. So I think he's a guy that I look up to and admire. His play style is just so different from all the others, but it's so good. It's like very difficult to attack his game style. So that sort of makes it very tough to play him. And I've lost him a couple of times, so I know what it's like to play against him.
Yeah, he's certainly. I'm happy that I never had to play against somebody like that. Would be a nightmare. I want to come back to the celebration just quickly. Is that something you would do as well? Will we see you? Because you're not going crazy after you win a title and stuff like that. Can you see yourself doing a little dance move?
Maybe, I don't know.
Come on.
If I win something big, maybe I will pull off the dance moves maybe in the future. Let's see. But
promise?
Yeah, I can't promise, but I will try to remember. But it's difficult because when you win something big and it's maybe one of the biggest wins of your life, it's sort of tough to remember. Oh, I'm gonna have to do the dance now because you're just so excited and you're so happy. So like the dance move is the last thing you sort of think about. But I guess for Daniil, with his brain, he thinks about all these funny things that he would like to do. So he's just built a little different, I think.
Yeah, certainly does. I can't wait to see his next tournament victory and see what he does then. A quick word on Carlos Alcaraz, of course, the world number one. It was a bit of a surprising loss in Rome to Fabian Molchan. We didn't see that one coming. Does that change anything, the way you look at him now as a player? Do you feel like, okay, this guy is not a machine, he is vulnerable?
Yeah, I mean, everyone is beatable. I mean, we're all just humans in the end, but Carlos, when he's on, is firing on all cylinders, just rapid forehands, backhands. He moves great, obviously, serves smart, and has, in my eyes, all the shots in the book. He can play defense, he can play offense, come to the net, drop shots. So he has the whole package. So it's a reason why he's world number one, obviously. But it shows that everyone is beatable. There have been bigger upsets before. Maybe where Roger has lost first week of Wimbledon, or all these things. There are other things that have happened before, which is sort of these things happen every now and then. So, but for the best guys, it just happens a bit more rarely than others, maybe. But I'm pretty sure that he's confident going into Roland-Garros, and maybe he hopes that he doesn't play this guy again in the first round. Maybe I think that's the only doubt that he would have, but I think he's very confident and he's probably going to look for his second slam title. That's probably what he's going for. He missed out on Australia due to injury, so if he's feeling ready and fresh, he will be dangerous and be one of the favorites.
But do you feel like when you watched him against Molchan played, out of this world? He played so aggressive. He was going for it. He was hitting drop shots. And also remember when he played against Jan-Lennard Struff, who is a player who's extremely aggressive, big serve, big forehand coming to the net. Are these type of players maybe the ones where he has a little bit more troubles against? Is that something you think about or you have noticed at all, or is it just us?
Maybe. I mean, obviously they sort of been able to something we like to say and we like to call, fight fire with fire. That's sort of when someone like Carlos and the play style he plays very aggressive. Just you have to sort of try to be almost more aggressive back in a way, because if you run and are on the defense against him, he has like all the time in the world to set up his shots. He can choose to hit a winner or a drop shot or whatever. So maybe go for a little bit more. Okay, you will do more mistakes, but in the end, you will make him feel also a little bit more uncomfortable because things are coming, back fast at him, and he will have less time to sort of think about what to do. So, and I think this goes for everyone. If you play a player who's super aggressive, it's always going to be tough for you because you feel like the match is almost in the opponent's hands in a way because of the way that he or she would play. So it's, I think, that's some of the most uncomfortable that you can feel when someone just rapid fires at you at all times. But I think it's tougher to do that over best of 5 sets than best of 3. And I think that will lead to an advantage for, top players in the Grand Slams. And I think you've seen it many times before, top players being down 2-0, 2-1 and coming back winning in the 5th. So it requires, different stamina and physically also a little bit more from you in the Grand Slams. And I think Carlos is ready for that. He truly showed that last year at the US Open, obviously playing all those 5-setters and just still being able to perform and run so well. So he has the stamina for sure.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Okay, last topic, Casper. We have a debate. The changes on the ATP Tour. We know that they've announced that there's 5 more Masters 1000 tournaments, which will last a little bit longer now. They're going to be 12-day events. Yeah. How much do you like these extended Masters 1000 tournaments? Do you like that, or do you think it's too long?
From a player's perspective, I think it's good because more players have chances to do well and play bigger tournaments. You have a 96 draw instead of a 56 draw in the main draw. The only sort of issue is if you lose early, like I did in Madrid, it's 2 weeks for your next match in the middle of the season, and you can sort of go, if you're a top 10 player, which means that you cannot play challengers in between that they're hosting. And you lose, potentially first round Madrid, first round Rome. You play 2 matches within 1 month, one full month on the calendar, and you only play 2 matches, which can be tough. But in the end, you have yourself to blame if you lose twice in the first match, sort of. But and if you do well, I felt losing early in Madrid didn't feel really good. I mean, I had 2 weeks, and then I have now doing well in Rome, reaching the semifinals and playing almost all the way until the end. It's nice because you have more days to recover in between your matches. Physically, you feel a little bit better towards the end. Typically in the tournament over 1 week, you have maybe 1 day off in the beginning, but then it's usually third round, quarters, semis, finals. You play like 4 days in a row with really tough matches, and the matches, they just get tougher and tougher the longer you get. So after a full week of, to win the Masters 1000, you will have to, in the 1 week tournaments, you have to win 5 or 6 matches within 1 week, which is quite tough physically. Yeah. It's only 7 days, so you only have a day or 2 off. But here you have more days off, which is nice. And I think, it's I'm positive to it. As long as I don't lose first round in Madrid again, I guess. Yeah. But I like it.
It feels like a Grand Slam, and we all know how stressful Grand Slams are because there's so many people. It's not just the players, it's the teams which are come around as well. It's just busy. And,
you can imagine it's like, let's say it's 300 players more or less, double, singles, men's and women's, and everyone has at least one with them. Some have 2, some have 3. So you're looking at potential 600, 700, 800 people who are going to need to be transported from the airport to the hotel or the practice site to the hotel and so on. So it's like just a practical, it's like a maze because it's so many people to take care of. And that's difficult in the beginning, obviously, when everyone is there, but towards the end it's easier because then you have 50 transportation cars waiting because they have too many cars. But in the beginning, it's like you'll have to wait half hours and hours to get a car to where you want because they don't have enough cars because all other players have taken them before you. So it's practically very, very tough and very difficult. But this is the first year that we're trying it, so let's see how it goes in the future. But I think they will try to learn from every year.
Yeah, I think there's still a lot of things which needs to be sorted out. Of course, the bigger, a lot more people, the bigger draws, the smallish space. But I'm sure that's on the table as well to be discussed. Casper, I think you have to go. And with 46 minutes, I mean, yes, this is so good. Thank you so much. Good luck in Geneva. And I hope I'll see you at the French. All the best for that and enjoy it because I know this is a very special time for you.
Thank you, Barbara. We'll see you next time and see you in Paris, hopefully.
Hi, I'm John McEnroe, and welcome to Eurosport Tennis on YouTube. Click here to subscribe to Eurosport Tennis.